Sweet.
Recording in
Recording in progress. I'm telling you, that lady, she scares me, man. It sounds like I'm flying a plane. Pull up, pull up. You know?
Oh, you know what? I should pull this off my wall, but I have a Tommy, I've told you this before, but back in 1996, you were flying from Chicago to Montreal to play a show at the Molson Center at the time with Kansas, and you were sitting right behind me on the plane, and I turned around after 40 minutes, and I held out an American dollar bill, and I said, "Could you sign this for me?" And you went, "No, I can do better." And I was like, "Okay, well, he's not going to sign it. That's fine." And you pulled out a gloss 8 by 10 gloss picture of yourself, and you signed it to me, and you gave it to me. And then you invited me to come to the show, but I couldn't come because I was going to be going to a Zach Wild show. But I have that right over here on the wall. I should show that to you. But thank you for that. You were exceptionally gracious and kind. So never to be forgotten.
Well, thank you. I've found 99.9% of the time fans are like that. Fans are very nice and respectful. And every once in a while, somebody who's probably needs to go have some medical attention.
Die hard. Yeah, but no, you were very kind. I mean, I'm bothering you on a plane, on a private thing. And instead of telling me to go jump in a lake, which I would have accepted because it is your private moment.
Yeah. And listen, can I just say, it's Tommy Shaw. Of course he's flying around with frickin' 8x10s ready to sign for you, Mitch. Come on. Frickin' legend. It makes no sense if you didn't.
Back then, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see those like classic record label headshots, like the publicity shots all the time. Like we have a bunch laying around the radio station. I'm like, they don't make these anymore. Like even for modern artists, like if I got one like a Lady Gaga, like you don't see those anymore. Like it's a classic kind of thing.
Did you see the band shot on Crash of the Crown?
Yeah. It's a great looking shot.
See, we've gotten to the point where the worst thing about being in the band is having to do the band photo. Everybody they just become their worst selves in front of the camera,
Well, yeah.
And we just look so like none of these people belong together. and we love each other, and we like how each other looks, but when we show up for we just hate it. So we've devised these ways to take a band photo where you don't have to sit there and pose and start trying to
do the thing.
I'm staring at the picture right now. Listen, it looks good. Rick Diamond did a good job with that picture. But let's get over to the new album. That's what we're here for.
Yes, on the new album, because of the lockdown, none of us could be together. None of us were going to fly and go somewhere. So Todd Galapa said, well, first of all, we're looking down into this hole in the ground. And so Todd took a picture of himself with his iPhone, set his iPhone on the floor. And I probably shouldn't, we're giving this away, but it was interesting. And we got it done by doing this. He taught each one of us where to put the phone and then look over the phone like you're looking over into something. And so that's what we all did. So everybody got to take their own picture for the band photo.
Nice. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, and he just, through his own talent and mechanisms, he put us all together, and so everybody approved of theirs.
Yeah, of course, because you took it.
I mean, just keep taking it till you get one you like.
I want to see all of the outtakes, though. That's what I want to see. That'll be for the deluxe box set next year. all the selfies that didn't make it.
See my bare foot in it.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys recorded this new record like in its entirety, completely like distance, or did you guys get together in studio?
Both. We were well into it by the time there was the lockdown. So I mean, Lawrence had been here a couple of times to write and then record vocals and use the keyboards that he has here in my studio. There's a B3 organ back there.
Nice.
And, it's a killer. It's a vintage, like '60s B3 and Leslie.
Where did you
And
get it?
I got it from somebody had it for sale at Soundcheck. It's like the band rehearsal storage place out north of the city in Nashville.
Mm.
I went out there and looked at it, and I don't know if you're familiar with B3s, but I used to have to be on the back end of that going upstairs with one up. They have the dollies with the arms that swing out.
Yeah, of course.
These these long things that wrap around and you clamp it down and pray for the best. And it was sitting there with that, the dolly on it, and it was almost too good to be true. And it was something that a guy who owned an electronics store in Chicago bought it when it was new, had it in his house, and when he retired, he gave it to his son. His son had it in his house, and then when he decided he wanted to downsize, that's how he gave it to his buddy who sold it to me. And you can crank that Leslie up, and it's like the deep purple,
Yeah, it's got that growl to it.
that growl. Yeah. Anyway, so Lawrence did a lot of his stuff here. We finished writing the songs, and then sang a bunch of vocals, and Will and I did guitar stuff, and then he went back home. But there were a few things that he was unable to complete, and he was able to do it in his studio in Toronto, where he has these vintage instruments, like a vintage, a mellotron, and Moog stuff that's he doesn't want to take on the road. So he had the advantage, and his Steinway piano was there. So all these things, each one turned out to have like a little happy ending where we did it that way. And Todd never flew. He hardly left his house for a year and a half.
Well, he's got like a drum museum over there, so it's like, you kind of don't need to go anywhere else.
He did his sessions from a drum museum.
That's right.
Exactly.
You can find him on Facebook doing these great drum videos all the time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't like that snare drum. Let's see.
Hey, listen.
Go pull one from the library. Okay.
Yeah, this one's from a Rolls Royce plane engine. Yeah, let's try that. No, I don't like that one. This is Coca-Cola, all these rare, beautiful woods, handmade. And we auditioned snare drums, and it was like being in the studio. When you're in the studio, you're sitting there in the control room. The way we record, we're not all in the room at the same time. We'll kind of flesh out a demo that's with the drum machine, playing like Todd for songwriting purposes. And then he'll go out there and put the real drum tracks on, 50 feet away, and we're in the control room looking at a monitor and listening to him through the speakers. That's exactly what it was like with him being in Austin, or watching on a Zoom call, and we're listening back on my speakers through that Listen To software. But this way, he's comfortable at home. He's got all this. Every drum that he uses live, he has a copy of it at home, and then more drums. So, I don't know if you heard, but we put a couple of drum breaks on the record. It's like,
yeah,
God, our drummer, give the drummer some.
Yeah, give him a little bit of a spotlight. I mean, it can't all just be the guitar player and keyboardist.
No, and I don't know if you saw that thing that he did online. I think it was for Crash of the Crown. He did let me show you here's what I did on Crash of the Crown. So we got Will did a drums minus mix. He did that for Todd so he could play along with all the songs, and it's pretty amazing to watch him play that song.
Yeah.
No, he is. I mean, the last time you were in Montreal, he went over to Steve's music store to do a drum clinic, and it was just fascinating. It was out of this world. Let me just quickly ask you about sort of the renewed interest in making new music, because you look at Big Bang Theory and what was the one before that, Cyclorama, and by the time you get to The Mission, 12, 13, 14 years goes by, and you're out doing the tours, you're let Def Leppard this, and all of a sudden you sort of expedite and you're like, okay, back to new music. Where does that sort of renewed enthusiasm for producing new music come from?
Well, it all comes from songwriting. You know, are you producing new music? I mean, are you creating something to record? And this one, if you ever listen to the album again, go to the last song on side 2, and it's called Mission to Mars, and listen to the last 10 seconds of it. And let me find a guitar. All right, let's see. This. Oh. That's it.
Mm. Yeah, sounds like space noises.
Yes, and what had happened is our production manager had gotten us these little practice amps, these little Yamaha practice amps, and we were on this cruise ship in a little dressing room up in the bow of the ship, and there was a little bit of an echo on it. So I played this with the echo, just messing around. And I've short-term memory, forget it with me. So what I always do is I set this up and I recorded myself playing that. And then I played it back, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. And while I was playing it back, I went, it's that simple thing. And I took my iPad and I recorded myself. I recorded playing that with this playing along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now I've got both parts on one little movie. I took it home, sitting right here, set up a Pro Tools session, got the click track, put that on there, and played that rhythm thing. And then I need a bridge, so I went. Sorry about my tuning.
No, it's good.
It's been sitting on the wall. Say goodbye to all your friends. Now a whole new life begins as the universe's mysteries unfold. And the audience back home. That just, so that goes with this. I mean, it's completely different, but I like a completely different middle eight. So
Yeah.
that's
Awesome.
And then I had to write. I didn't have those words. I had this track. It was like, okay, yeah, I want to do some vocals, but I don't have any words. So I picked up the pencil and paper, and it seemed like a doodly doo doodly doo doodly doo doodly doo, you know, like a limerick.
So it was melody first and then lyrics?
Yeah, well, it was just kind of all happening. You know, when a song starts, it grabs your hand and starts taking you somewhere, you just hold on and try and keep up. So you capture it. So I just started writing. It was da-da-da-da. Now I can say that this is the day to be on our way on a mission to Mars. Okay. Okay, what goes with that?
Right.
So I was so excited by it because I wanted to sing it. I want to hear it.
Mm-hmm. And it all started with that space movie kind of sound effect you
That
had
little
going.
stupid thing, yeah. And so that's one of the joys of songwriting. A lot of times you're just like a little piece of copper pipe. You know, it's coming from here, and it needs to go over there. So you just hook it up to me, and it was so easy. And it's like, okay, so all right, song about a mission to Mars. I mean, what goes with that?
Right.
And so somewhere in the back of my mind says, what if you did an album about the first manned mission to Mars?
Yeah.
Hey, well, I got nothing better to do, you know.
And it works. You know, I just love the fact that you had 2 iPads and an iPhone running. Like you had like a 2-track, but it was
totally.
Yeah, total 2-track. By the way, the mission. Look, since we're talking about the mission for a second, that was so well received by the fans. Did that sort of push you to make this new Crash of the Crown, where you just go, you know what, they love this, let's do it again? Like, sort of the question is, had it been poorly received, would you have been a little bit more sort of
reluctant
to do this one, or was it like, Yeah, we got something. Let's do more.
Well, I don't think we got that far because uh, the thing was as we were getting near it, it was like I think we've got something here, because uh, we would listen back to it, and what would happen, once we got it, recorded and then sequenced. Sequencing was everything on that record.
Mm.
It's everything on every record, but this one in particular, uh, we would sit in here and listen to it, and and it still happens to me today. I listen to that album, and I'll get near the end, and I'll start thinking, I should have listened more in the beginning because I didn't realize it was going to get to here. I need to go back and listen again and follow it so it gets to here.
Mm.
And we had a listening session over at Blackbird. We brought Jim Scott. It was half through. He mixed side one,
Mm.
but we were in Nashville, and people were, a record company president was there, and just some, agent was there, and the mayor said she'd come, and it's like, fuck it, let's have a little listening party. And so we got everybody over in the big room, and we played side one, but we didn't have side two. And I just said, just play the demos, because they sound that good.
Mm.
And they really did. Once you got your head into that space and you heard the demos, you just finished telling the story. And we had created this little story and mass produced the pages, giving everybody that when they walked in. No one wants homework to listen to the record.
Yeah.
So not everybody was paying much attention. They were just being nice and acting like they were looking at it. But as we got along into it, Bruce Resnikoff from Universal, all of a sudden I saw him going. He started, wait a minute, I got to catch up with this. And that's
Okay, wait, hold on a second. What's going to be the first single here?
Yeah, all of a sudden, and when we got through with it, people, they they flipped out over it.
Mm.
And not really sure why. Well, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
I think maybe it takes you by surprise that you like it, and so you want, and it's kind of short. I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, you guys have always made pleasurable sounding records, and that's one of the cool things. I mean, like,
Yeah.
even with Crash of the Crown, it's like, the production is it's almost like nostalgic in a way, because it's not super overproduced with Cannonball snare, which I love, by the way. Like, I'm trying to bring Cannonball snare back as much as possible. But there's a real band element to this new record that I really enjoy. Like, you said a lot of it was kind of recorded at a distance and stuff, but it actually does sound like a band that's performing this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
We've never been a groove band that has to like capture this magical take.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the Allman Brothers would never do something like this. They gel. Tedeschi, those guys. They have to be in there. That magic has that. They have a magic take. I'm assuming.
It has to be cut off the floor, yeah.
Let me just ask you this real quick in terms of going out touring, because you now have these two new albums in the last few years. You've been playing Renegade and all these other songs for forever, 30 years, 40 years. How exciting is it to you to now have these new sort of 10, 12, 20 songs from the last two albums and go, yeah, we don't have to keep playing the same thing? Does it refresh the whole thing, for the whole process for you?
Oh God, yeah. It's like a fountain of youth for your spirit to be able to pick and cherry pick from all the records STYX has made and go, we like this song. We're going to play this because we love it, and then the audience likes it. We love playing Lady. We love playing Light Up and songs from Equinox, and there's certain songs that just have staying power, and they're fun, and we get to sing. It's so much fun to do these songs, and we have so many of them that we can just do our "we love to play this song" list.
Yep.
But the fact that we were able to, I don't know if we just took them by surprise, but like that. There's a song called "Red Storm" that's.
So that's what I like to hear.
So, but I have to play that while I'm singing. And that was one that I was like, okay, all right.
Not easy.
But, do something 1,000 times. It's
Yeah.
nothing to it.
Well, one of my favorite songs off this new record, Crash of the Crown, and I really hope you guys add it to the live set list, because as soon as I heard it, I was hooked, and it's like further down on the record. It's called To Those. And it's got a blistering guitar solo right at the end. And I especially love the decay of the guitar and the fade out with like the keyboard and all like comes into the same pitch. Like it's just one of the coolest songs on the record. Can you talk about that a little bit, about that song?
That was Will came up with that. It's an odd time signature.
Yeah.
It doesn't start on the downbeat. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I kept hearing that as 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's not. It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
On the end.
Yeah, and so it made I had a rough time with that. I finally got it, and but it just sounded so good, and we heard some Who-ish kind of things in there.
Yeah.
I think that's how that goes. But we had a lot of fun with that and Our Wonderful Lives. Those are the only 2 songs that were written in the pandemic.
Dream.
The other songs, some of them were years old, like Sound the Alarm was something I wrote in my dressing room. I just came up with.
Another great song on the record, by the way, Sound the Alarm.
I wrote just these chords in the Sound the Alarm part of it in my hotel room when we were in Las Vegas with Don Felder.
That was a great tour a few years back with Don Felder. It was Foreigner, Don Felder, and yourself, I believe, right? Was that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Is that? Well, at least that's what I saw in Ottawa. But Ottawa was a festival situation, and all 3 bands were there. You've also got the EP coming out, The Same Stardust. Talk to me about having those two at the same time. And what I like about this one, and I know you've heard the question a million times, but it has a live version of Mr. Roboto, a song that you've re-embraced in the last few years. And it's nice to see that you've re-embraced it and said, all right, you wanted live versions. Here it is on the EP. Now go buy it.
It wasn't that well, Mr. Roboto was an odd song at the time, but we were in just an awful place as a band at that point. We should have taken, if we had taken a year off, we would have been a whole lot better off. But we were professionals and we got through that record. But we never played that song live. When we did the tour, Dennis and I sang along to it in costume as these characters sang along to a track. So the band had never played Mr. Roboto live. And it was a song that we were getting requests for every day since then. But we're like, it just didn't make any sense.
Yep.
So one day I was looking on Spotify and I said, I wonder if anybody's covered that song. And if you go to Spotify and look up Proto Men, they do. It's the exact arrangement, I think at the same tempo, same key, but they do it as a rock song. And when I heard that, it was like, it's a rock song. It's not a techno song, it's a rock song.
Yeah.
And so that's how we play it. We play it as a big ass blistering rock song.
Yeah.
And
it's great.
And when we do that, it was like, we save it for late in the set. because for one thing, our fans have grown accustomed to, when they say play Mr. Roboto, that they're not going to hear it. Well, suddenly they're hearing it, and we're enjoying playing it. So, I think you just time wounds all heals, or time heals all
Heals
wounds.
all wounds. Yeah. Listen, it was the Tesla Joan Jett STYX tour, and Mr. Roboto comes out of the speaker, and you're just like, I'm in. Thank you. You've made my night. That's it.
It is a big rock song, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you perform it great. So it's nice to see, and it's just nice to see it on the EP, because to sort of, throw it in the set list and not make a big sort of notice of it is one thing, but to say, all right, now here you go. It's on this EP. Go enjoy it as many times as you want. So kudos to the band for listening to the fans and doing it for the fans, because to me that's a gift for a fan.
Yeah, and as a gift as a guitar player to bring that into the guitar world.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. It's a fun thing.
Driving power chords. You guys got to do like a super, super heavy, like metal version of Mr. Roboto. That'd be awesome.
I had a swing version of it. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
That would also
like
an orchestral version of it.
Yeah.
That was the first. I think that was the first step into reconsidering it, because so what if we did some other kind of version of it? It didn't. I overthought it. The simplest thing to do is be a rock band.
Yep. No,
Right.
it works.
At the end of the day, you just go back to the electric guitar and rock out.
Back to the basics. That's what you need to do, and that's what we love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, STYX, Crash of the Crown, brand new record coming out on June 18th, available wherever music is sold. Also, limited edition record store day version, the same Stardust EP coming out on June 12th, which is my birthday. Record store day this year. We're celebrating my birthday on that day.
Fantastic. Well, happy birthday in advance.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Tommy, this was awesome. By the way, what's your guitar rig these days? What are you playing through?
I've got a Bogner Shiva. It's it's an older Bogner Shiva. That I stopped using my Marshall head when I found the Bogner Shiva. It's so versatile and so like a classic Marshall should sound.
Mm.
I just like the simplicity of it. So I just have a couple of those and some basic pedals. I've never been much of a pedals guy. I run around so much on stage. But the pedals that I do have, my guitar tech usually does all the resetting of
All the
that.
switching for you.
That's great. And of course, you've got the great Canadian Lawrence Gowan in the band. Just one last word on him. What has he added to the band? He's been there, what now? Going on 20 years or something? He's, growing up in Canada at the time and listening to much music and watching Criminal Mind and Strange Animal and all that stuff, to see him in STYX was like, oh, that's smart. Way to go. What has he brought to the band?
He is like the ultimate big brother in the band. He's the eldest child in his family, so he's the big brother, and he's so thoughtful and so, he thinks before he speaks. Unlike certain people in the room here, and so he's very thoughtful and very considerate, and he's good at untwisting conflicts and making sense of it, and he's funny. He starts with funny, and funny is always a great way to walk in the room.
Yeah.
I can be way too serious, and I'll get to funny, but funny right off the bat that's a gift. And he's a great songwriter and a ridiculous musician. I'm going to go learn how to play a harp, or I'm going to play. He'll pick up an instrument, and then he will go work on mastering it. He's just a brilliant. He's a gift to this world.
He's a musician.
He's a musician, seriously, and a great musician brother. Just a great asset to the 24-hourness of being in a band.
Yeah, and just a great pickup. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we knew about him in Canada in the '80s, and it's nice to see that now the rest of the world, thanks to STYX, gets to appreciate his talent.
Yeah, and all of Canada just gets to see how diversely talented he is.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, he wasn't just the '80s guy. He's a lifetime, surpriser.
Rock and roller.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you said that, he's a funny guy. It's like, 90% of the artists that we talk to have had, replacement members through the years and stuff. A lot of them say, honestly, you know what? It's about the hang. Like,
Yeah.
It's about 90% the hang, and then the other part is make it happen on stage and in the studio.
yeah,
Yeah, the hang.
There you go.
I agree. I hear you. By the way, on this new record, what was the main guitar you used?
R8, R9 Les Pauls. I've got a white one like this. This is a vintage. This is a '60s, and I got a white one like this. I use these for the slide solos.
Right.
And just mostly those Les Pauls, and that was pretty much it.
Nice. Kept it simple.
The acoustic guitars, you see those.
And there's a lot of acoustic guitar on this new record, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's a vintage Collings acoustic in the background back there in that thing.
Wow.
And I had a '53 wartime Banner J45 that all of a sudden decided to sound awesome, so I used that.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll let you go. We'll say bye to the dog and and the wife, and we're good.
I'm probably running late.
Yeah, no, you're just right on. You got.
We're right on time. We're wrapping up, so we're good.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you, folks. Have a good day.
Yeah, it was good to see you, Tommy. We'll catch you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.